A warm welcome back to my channel. Please allow me to pick up where I left off in the last video. It was our anniversary, and the phone calls were coming in with all the well-wishers. So when this call came through, I was thinking to myself, another person calling to wish us happiness. Oh, was I so wrong? It was my little sister in a hysterical state, shouting, "Dawn! A gunman came and took Randy, our brother, into the hills." Not knowing what to say, feel, or do, I just stood there feeling like time stood still. What brought me back to reality was hearing my mother in the background screaming. Just a little while ago, I was on top of the world, having a feeling of euphoria, only to be hit with this devastating news. A feeling of numbness came over me. This cannot be happening. It must be a dream. It could not be real, I thought. Running into the shower, I was not sure of my next move. All I was thinking about is how to get at my mother's side as fast as possible, no matter what the cost. What was I going to wear? To hide my huge belly, I couldn't bring myself to tell my mom my condition, knowing she would worry, and then start with a whole lot of negativity. This story of my brother's kidnapping is a very sad and long one, so I will try to cut it into a short version, only dealing with how I survived cancer while going through Randy's kidnapping, as much as possible. I am the fourth of 6 children, but somehow I find myself in the position and authority as if I am the first. That's why I knew I had to go to my mom. Finding clothes was not easy, but I found. Driving back into our village, it felt like it was a ghost town. There was not a person on the street. Upon reaching my old home, a feeling of anxiety overtook me, not to mention my inside felt like someone was cutting it up. Before going inside the house, I cried out to the Lord Jesus, "Help me to deal with all these pain and sadness." As I enter the home, Mom came running to me crying and saying, "Thank God you came," and like a choir all my other relatives started crying one after the other. I was told the gang from the hills top felt Randy was an informer for another gang, called the Neverland Gang, and that's why they took him. Our next move were to go to the police station and seek help. My older brother Clayton, his wife, and I did all the work. For 2 weeks we went every and any place we thought help would come. Eventually the Minister of Security saw us. Then one day the top cop called us into his office, where the photos of the country's top gang leaders were showed to us. My belly started to react to this clandestine environment. All at once, my inside started to shake. It felt as if a butcher took his knife to my belly. I could not allow myself the time to feel sick, so anytime I felt the pain was coming on, I would pop the painkillers into my mouth. I had to be there for my mom and the rest of my relatives. As my custom was, I got up early to have my devotion. I remember one Thursday morning that stood out for me. I could not sleep, so I got up earlier than before, and every time I tried to close my eyes, I saw my brother kneeling, and a gun was placed to his head. The trigger was pulled. Then I saw him falling to the dirt ground, with a hole in his head and blood running out of it. I could not shake this feeling, all how I tried. When my cycle came, it was so traumatic for me, having to deal with this whole harrowing situation, with no sight of relief. Then one day while Clayton and I were in the town, trying to get our brother back, my sister called me screaming. There were so many screams in the background, I could hardly hear what she was saying on the phone. What I made out from all her hysteria was they found a body in the hills. We got into a taxi heading for home. As we got closer, I saw a person running and screaming. in the middle of the road. It was my mother. There is so much to say and not enough time in this video to say it, so I would have to skip over a lot. Because my husband was a soldier, we got the military to accompany the police into the hills. Walking up the track where they found the body was very steep. Looking around the scene, there was a barrel with burned wood, a cutlass, the ground freshly dug up, and vultures circling around. The police asked Clayton and I to leave the scene of the crime, so we went to the bottom of the track. What we saw coming out of the hills broke our heart. They were dragging a body in a body bag down toward us. We were called to identify it. My heart was hurting and racing at the same. "Yes, it's Randy," I heard Clayton saying. "Oh no. It cannot be him. Lord Jesus, why?" I kept on asking. Going home the night was the worst. I started to feel so sick. And what made it bad, the next morning, we had to go and view the autopsy. Getting into the room, the smell reminded us of a hospital, until they wheeled Randy's body inside. The smell was unbearable. The pathologist uncovered his corpse and there was a gaping hole on the right side of his temple, and a huge hole on his left side of his neck. She told us that's where the bullet entered his temple, and exit through his neck. She also said the gang tried to burn his body, that's why his skin on his chest was rolled up. When we thought that was it, she showed us a severed hand, on a table with mom's rings on it. The rest of Randy's deteriorating body, filled the room with its odor. I wish I could say the funeral was effortless, by no means. Because of time I will say we made it through, by God's grace. After Randy's funeral I found myself in such a bad place. The doctor I was running from, I had to run to, all because I had no more energy to go on anymore. In part 5 of this series I will share with you my next step surviving cancer. Please like, share, subscribe and leave a comment. See you in the next video. God bless.